The Chicago Bears have a huge choice in front of them with the number 9 pick. We're asking a bunch of questions. Who do we think that they're going to pick? But perhaps we're asking the wrong questions. What's up? This is Sean, Sports Talk Bears. We are building such a positive community here. Join us. Hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you. So let's be real here. The Bears are going quarterback with their number 1. I think that's obvious, and all signs point toward it being Caleb Williams. Like him or not, that's likely what's happening. So let's move forward to a more fruitful discussion. And let's ask this question. What should the Bears with the number 9 do? This is what really might be what dictates if it's a good draft or a poor one. There's a story on sportsmockery.com. These guys do great work. It posed the thought of maybe we're asking the wrong questions. And I actually love that pivot. So I always want to give credit. So the question Sports Mockery posed is, what does the draft next year look like? You better believe that the powers at Hallis Hall are asking this. Let's look into that. We have all sorts of opinions on what the Bears might do with the pick or what they'll do with the pick. Do we give Caleb as many weapons as possible in his rookie season and go wide receiver? Do they protect him with a left tackle and trade Braxton Jones? That's interesting. Do we take a much-needed edge rusher? I mean, there's a school of thought that that's what we should do. But let's see what our draft picks are in 2025. We have our first rounder. Then we have 2 second-round picks, our own and Carolina's. This will be a good pick. The Panthers, they are not going to be great. A third rounder. And if Fields wins the starting spot and plays 51% of the snaps, we will have 2 fourth-rounders. And then our regular fifth, we have 2 sixth-rounders and a 7th. So we have a pretty full cupboard there. First of all, I would absolutely love the Bears to use the extra second-rounder as ammo if we need to move around in the draft this year. Even packaging it with our first if we need to move up to get who we want, I think that would be fantastic. That's something not a lot of people are talking about. But instead of just looking at our picks, let's do something else. What does a 2025 draft look like? What positions are strong? What are weak? Polls and company are definitely influenced by this, and we'll have a nice arsenal of picks next year as well, as I've talked about. For example, Poles did say this. He said that he felt the quarterback class this year would be super strong, and it's a huge reason he chose to trade last year's number 1, and he was right. We'll likely have 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 10 picks this year. That was a good assessment. So what are the early projections on the 2025 draft class? Early rankings. They show edge rusher to be the strongest component for next year. Out of the top 32 prospects thought to be declaring draft eligibility, 6 of them are defensive ends. Only 4 of them are wide receivers, but the 4 that are going to be wide receivers, they absolutely pale in comparison to this class. As we've talked about before, this is probably the strongest and deepest wide receiver class that we've seen in 20 years. Maybe that we've seen in our lifetime. Truth will be told in the future, but man, this draft class for wide receiver is so good. It's just hard to project though, but looking at next year's class, a stud wideout, it's going to be way tougher to fill next year. And who knows how long Keenan Allen will be. He's going to be 32 years old when the season starts. Or if he even gets signed to a contract that extends beyond this year. And with the Bears likely to be much improved, our pick isn't going to be super high in the first if all things go well. So over finding a legit playmaker at receiver, edge rushers should be robust next year. And the chance to improve our pass rush next year, that might be the best move. It's likely that if 4 quarterbacks go early, and I believe it happens, Williams, Daniels, May, and now McCarthy, unbelievably, we're looking at only 4 picks until our 9th. Unbelievably, too, MHJ, Neighbors, Odunze, they're all available with only 4 picks before our 9th selection. Then we've got Joe Alt, we've got Turner, we've got Verse, we've got Bowers. Man, there's a lot of talent left. We'll end up with a blue chip player for sure here at 9 if we stay, with Neighbors being valued by a ton of evaluators as equal to or even better than Marvin Harrison Jr. at this point in the process. It's coming out in all sorts of reports, all sorts of prognosticators. It's really interesting. So we have Caleb, May, and Daniels going as the top 3. Then we go with the rumored deal of Minnesota moving to pick 4 in a trade with the Cardinals to grab J.J. McCarthy. I really think with Harbaugh's emphasis on the trenches that we could likely see Joe Alt going at 5. And I talked about this yesterday. The Giants pick at 6. Is it possible or even likely at this point that we might see them draft Malik Neighbors here? It's crazy over MHJ, but it goes to show some of the benefits as a player if you actually do your workouts, if you actually do your pro day, if you actually remind scouts why you were rated so highly in the first place. I mean, Malik Neighbors, he just showed out. Perhaps that's going to give some recency bias when the Giants draft. Atlanta, they're next. They might very well go defense with pick 8 or be open to trading it. And Chicago could be in an unbelievable situation unfolding here. Getting the quarterback of the future in Caleb Williams, say what you will, then having MHJ drop to the 9th, or having the opportunity to use that extra second round pick in 2025 that we got from Carolina. Once again, thanks to Lovie Smith. We'll never forget this. I swear he needs a statue put up outside of Soldier Field. But anyways, so I would love it if we could use that second or another pick and even move up a couple spots to get who I think might be the best talent in the draft in MHJ. Can we really have our cake and eat it too? I think if we can get Caleb Williams plus a stud receiver in Neighbors, Odunze, or MHJ to pair with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, can't edge rusher wait for next year when the draft will be full of them on the top end of 2025, up to 6 available with a first round pedigree. It's worth looking at. I can't imagine polls would say a 4th rounder for a player he didn't intend to sign. But even if Allen left after this year, doubtful, but okay, prepare for the worst, we would still have more and a stud number 2 at our disposal. It's insurance. If all goes as planned, how's the combination of DJ Moore, possibly MHJ, or one of the other 2 guys, of course, plus Keenan Allen? How is that one? And Keenan Allen's one of the most reliable receivers in the NFL, right? What if he's simply relegated to the slot and these 2 are running routes on the outside, plus Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett, and the home run threat of Swift at running back, all including the quarterback on economical deals presently and in the future? How is that not one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL? Tell me how that doesn't happen. Our offensive line has been greatly shored up. I think this could very well be what Poles is planning, with the concentration on the offensive line and free agency, shoring up the center position, signing super versatile linemen that can play every position. Darnell Wright and a left tackle and Braxton Jones. He's coming into his own. Maybe this is because offensive line wasn't going to be how this number 9 pick would be spent. The focus needs to be on making this quarterback decision work. Everything hinges on it. Even their jobs hinge on it. I mean, a lot of people are like, my fandom hinges on this, because if this doesn't work, I'm out. And we need to be able to take a deep breath, make it as smooth as possible. Arm this offense with weapons. This trio of wideouts, it would be the best this franchise has ever fielded by a long shot. And if Caleb puts his head down, if he just stops with the nonsense and just balls out, man, this could be a year to celebrate. There's some ways to possibly drum up more draft capital as well. Is it possible we could trade like Herbert to a team like Dallas for an additional 4th rounder? There are some things that we can do to get more draft capital if we choose to stay at 9 and get this done. You guys, I would love to know what you think. I know you're going to tell me what you think, and I absolutely love it. Keep the comments respectful. Really love doing this with you guys. Bear down, enjoy this offseason, and the draft is going to be here before you know it. See ya.